Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the cause of his manifestation has been described in scripture. Prema rasni yas karite ashwadan, raga mad bhakti lok karite pracharan, rasik shekara paramakaru. So, even during Krishna's pastimes, Krishna was unable to fully experience the nature of what is the kind of love that is present in the heart of Srimati Radharani. With a desire to do so, the Lord wanted to make an appearance fully imbued with the mood of Srimati Radhika in order to taste that mood. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita Niyadi Lila, it's mentioned, Shri Radha Pranaya Vikriti Ladini Shakti Ashmad. So the essence of the love of Radhika is something called a Ladini Vritti. The word Ladini means the same thing as Ananda or happiness. The essential thing that makes Krishna happiness is this Ladini Vritti, this love, this function of the happiness principle in the love of Radharani. He wanted to understand that. So the nature of the love itself, Shri Radha Pranay, the word Pranay means love, that love then made a transformation, Vikriti, and caused the appearance of Radha and Krishna, who are originally one reality. Radha Krishna Chaya Ek Iswarup. They're really one person, but Lila Rasa Sudite Dari Durirup. They've eternally become two to taste this Ladini Vritti, or taste this principle of happiness as a loving couple. So it says here that that very same love, it caused a transformation, Vikriti, of the fact that they are two individuals. And again, Aikyam Aptam, again they became one in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When they become Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that means Radha and Krishna become Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the purpose is Prem Rasniyas, to taste that highest kind of prem. The highest kind of prem is called Madanakya Mahabhav. The word Madanakya means a love which only exists in Radhika and no one else, and it has the ability to put Krishna in a position where he can neither understand it, he can feel it, but he can't understand it, nor can he adequately reciprocate it with it. You understand? So therefore, Krishna is told in one verse, Na paryeham nirvaja samyujam. I have no way to repay the kind of love that I'm experiencing from Srimati Radharani. I have that desire. All devotees who try to serve Krishna in Bhagavad Gita is telling, I reward you as you surrender to me accordingly. But to Radhika, and hence all the gopis under Radhika, he's telling, Narapariyaham nirvajya samyujam. Swaswarukrityam vibhuru yashapiva. Even if I had unlimited facility, I would not be able to repay the kind of love that you've shown me. The kind of love that you've shown me, Yama Bhajan Durjaya Geha Shrinkala Savistya. You've broken all of your connections with all of your family members, even with Dharma, because the love between Radha and Krishna and the gopis, it is called Paramor love or Parakya Bhav. It means it's not wedded love, so it's not even dharmic, like Lord Ramachandra being married to Sita. So it says the gopis, to love and to serve Krishna, gave up everything, even Dharma, in order to carry out this love. No one else, Mother Yashoda, doesn't have to give up Dharma to serve Krishna. Arjun doesn't have to give up Dharma to serve Krishna. Krishna's Braj Kahard boyfriends don't have to give up Dharma. But the gopis even give up Dharma in order to serve Krishna. So he's telling, I have no way to repay you for that. So yat tat pariyatu sadhuna. Make your love itself your reward. So now Krishna himself wants to taste that kind of love. In order to do that, he took the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So simultaneously it mentions Prem Rasniyash Karite Ashwadan. I just spoke on that part. He wanted to taste the love, but then he says, Rag Marga, Rag Marg Bhakti Lok Karite Pracharan. I also want to give the methodology for how a person can obtain service to this mood of love. How you can obtain service to the love that Radhika has, I'm going to show you by taking the role of a devotee myself. So therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu simultaneously takes the role of a devotee, and he goes through different stages to show how to practice in such a way to obtain the state by which we can serve the love of Radhika. It is called Radha Dasya, or sometimes it's also called Manjari Bhav. This particular mode of serving the kind of love that Radhika has. You cannot have the same love that Radhika has, but you can serve that mood. You understand? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, and part of his mission was to teach how to do this. The path or the method that's used to learn how to serve that kind of love is called Raga Marg or Raganuga Bhakti. The word Rag Anuga means in the spiritual world, the eternal associates, they have a deep love for Krishna. It's called Rag. So that Rag exists in their very nature. So it's called Raga Atmik or Ragatmik. If you want to follow those moods, like how Mother Yashoda loves Krishna, if you want to follow that mood, Vatsalya Prem, parental love, or how Krishna's friends love Krishna, Sakya Rasa or Sakya Prem, or if you want to serve like gopis, especially like manjaris, then you have to do anuga or follow the mood they have. Before you can begin to follow that mood, however, you have to kind of purify your consciousness, which would allow your consciousness to digest their mood. Because in our current state, there is some contamination. The principal thing of that contamination is false egoism. Because our false ego is dictating to us that I'm actually John Doe, I'm the son of Sally and Jack Doe, whatever it is. And so we have different designations based on false egoism. So as long as that exists, it's not possible for true spiritual identity to take seat in our consciousness and allow us the facility to follow adequately the mood of those eternal associates whom we aspire to serve like. You understand? Because the false egoism is giving dictation to act according to its nature and the material identity that we have. So you cannot be, the material and the spiritual don't mix. Just like oil and water, they don't mix. So as long as that false egoism is there, the true spiritual identity doesn't emerge itself. So in order to help us get to that point, we first follow the path of rules and regulations called Vaidhi Bhakti, right? But truly, the Vaidhi Bhakti that we're following is in pursuit of coming to the path of Rag or Raganuga. So it's called Raganuga Pravritti, the progressive path. I'm giving an example. If you have two students and they're both going to college, so one student really doesn't know what they want to do upon graduating from college, so they take up liberal arts. Everybody's going to college remembers this. You can just take liberal arts. That means you don't have a specific major. You're just taking all of your prerequisites and everything else. Maybe you'll figure out what you want to do later. Another person, from the time that they enter into college, knows, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be an engineer. Now, they both have to sit in the same class of prerequisites, math, English, etc. But then upon completing your prerequisites, you can pick up your major. So that student who wants to be a lawyer, doctor, engineer, they're also sitting in the same class with the person in liberal arts, but in their heart, they're taking their prerequisites to get to the point of picking up their major of engineering, law, or medicine. So in the same way, we're following the path of Vaidhi Bhakti only to develop the purification to enter into the path of Rag Marg or Raganuga Bhakti. The reason I'm saying this is because by the path of Vaidhi Bhakti, you cannot obtain the mood of service in Vrindavan. This is very clearly stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sakale Jagate More Vaidhi Bhakti Brajabav Payati Nahi Sakti. By following Vaidhi Bhakti, you can obtain Vaikuntha, being service to Lord Narayan, but you cannot obtain the mood of serving Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan by that mood. Therefore, looking at all of the deities, for instance, that Al Srila Prabhupada established around the world, none were deities of Lord Narayan. He didn't establish any Vishnu deities. He established deities of Radha and Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra. Very rarely he would establish deities of Lord Ram, and that was mostly because it was a service to the community or population or congregation in that area, like in Bombay Temple or in some other places. But mostly only established deities that were related with Vrindavan and Radha Krishna. Because Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, it's also related to Vrindavan. So the only way to obtain that mood is by Raganuga Bhakti. So we're following rules and regulations to come to the point of purification in order to enter into the path of Raganuga Bhakti. So Mahaprabhu told Ragamag Bhakti Loke Karite Pracharan. I'm appearing to preach this path of Raganuga Bhakti. In order to do that, Mahaprabhu, he stayed on the planet for 48 years. For 12 of those years, his early years, from his birth till up around 12 years old, he did various pastimes in order to give pleasure to Sachi Ma and his father Jagannath Misra and the Navadvip Vasis. It means the residents of Navadvip. So he performed childhood pastimes. Then as he grew older, he began to perform the pastimes of going to school, etc., etc. After that 12 years, in the next 12-year period, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would perform the pastimes up to the point of going to Gaya, where he would receive initiation from Ishwara Puripad. And when he receives initiation from Ishwara Puripad and he comes back to Navadvip, his whole mood is now changed. And so now he's becoming more fully absorbed in the mood that he originally came here to taste. In order to do that, at the end of his 24th year, Mahaprabhu leaves Navadvip to take sannyas from Keshav Bharti, right? So after taking sannyas, he'll spend the next 12 years, this is going to be up to the age of 36, he's going to spend the next 12 years traveling throughout South India, going to Vrindavan, going to many holy places, and he has promised his mother, Sachi, after taking sannyas, but he'll make his primary residence in Jagannath Puri. So he bases himself in Puri, but then he travels to South India and so many other places. When he travels to South India, he meets Ramananda Roy. Because when he was in Jagannath Puri, he had a conversation with a great scholar who was in Puri. He was like the main scholar in Puri. His name was Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And after having a conversation with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya told him, oh, when you travel to South India, you must meet Ramananda Roy. He's currently the governor, minister for the king of Orissa, who was Maharaj Prataparudra. So when Mahaprabhu went to South India, he went to a place called Vishakhapatnam, and there he met Ramananda Roy. Ramananda Roy is an incarnation of Radhika's Gopi friend named Vishaka. So they sat to talk in private. In the 8th chapter of the Madhya Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita, the discussion between Ramananda Roy and Mahaprabhu is revealed. In that discussion, Ramananda Roy inspires all of the moods that Mahaprabhu came to seek out regarding tasting the mood of Radhika. They're all revealed in that conversation with Ramananda Roy. So now Mahaprabhu, he tells Ramananda Roy, you should retire from your government service and come to live with me in Puri. There, another one of Mahaprabhu's dear associates is Swarup Damodar. Swarup Damodar is an incarnation of Radhika's Gopi friend named Lalita. So now Lalita and Vishaka, who've appeared as Swarup Damodar and Roy Ramananda, are staying with Mahaprabhu in Puri. So early on, not very early, but somewhere in the course of that period, Mahaprabhu wrote what was called a Bhajan Padati. A Bhajan Padati means how do you practice Krishna consciousness? And after receiving Harinam and Diksha from Ishwara Puripad, Mahaprabhu only realized, not only realized, but he mentioned the full realization of everything is present in Harinam. So he wrote a Bhajan Padati of 8 verses. And this is not unusual. If you look at Rupa Goswami, he wrote 11 verses in the Upadeshamrita, or Nectar of Instruction. Raghunath Das Goswami wrote 12 verses, which include the Faustuti or the benediction verse, in Manasiksha. Narottam Das Thakur, Narottam Das Thakur, he wrote Prem Bhakta Chandrika. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur wrote Rag Vatma Chandrika. So there's many books like that are small books, only of 11 or 12 or 8 verses, that teach us how to do bhajan. So Mahaprabhu, in his own writing, wrote a bhajan padati. He called it Sikshastakam. Understand? And it was composed of 8 verses. And in those 8 verses, he was proving that everything that's needed to realize the mood of service in Vrindavan is present in Sri Harinam. So he wrote that padati previously. Now an amazing thing happens. Mahaprabhu was living in Jagannath Puri along with Swarup Damodar, Roy Ramananda. He sent all of the Goswamis, like Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Jiva Goswami. They're all living in Vrindavan, and they're manifesting all of the holy places of Vrindavan, and they are writing books. One Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, he's staying in Puri with Mahaprabhu, and he's under the guidance of Swarup Damodar. So he's the one who's collecting all of the information about Mahaprabhu's Leela and everything. Later on, after the disappearance of Mahaprabhu and Swarup Damodar, Raghunath Das Goswami will also go to Vrindavan, staying at Radha Kund. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami will meet him there, and Raghunath Das Goswami will reveal all of the notes he had on the life of Mahaprabhu, which then will be combined with the book written by Vrindavan Das Thakur, and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami will write the book, Chaitanya Charitamrita. Understand? So this, I'm just setting up the background for all of this. So now Mahaprabhu has written this padati quite some time ago, but now this is the last 12 years. One day he sends a dear associate of his named Jagadananda Pandit. Jagadananda Pandit was a very dear associate of Mahaprabhu, and he used to send him back and forth to Navadvip to give messages to all of the Navadvip Vasis, his associates there, Advaita Acharya, Mother Sachi, other associates in Navadvip. So one time when he sent Jagadananda Pandit to Navadvip to take prasad and to comfort his mother and everything, at that time, Jagadananda Pandit stayed there for a couple of months, and when he was about to return, then he spoke to Advaita Acharya. And Advaita Acharya told him, listen, when you return to Puri, I want you to give a message to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Jagadananda Pandit said, yes, you tell me. Whatever message you tell me, I will deliver. So then Advaita Acharya recited a sonnet or a poem, like a mysterious poem. Bahuloka kaya iha loka ao. Bahuloka kaya ahate na vikaya chal. Bahuloka kaya kaya nahiko al. Bahuloka kaya kayache bal. So it's a kind of sonnet in Bengali language. And Jagadananda Pandit didn't understand it himself because it was pretty amazing. What it says in English is that you please tell from one madman to another that now there's no, everyone in Navadvip has gone mad. The word al and bal mean those who become mad by absorption. So the real meaning is that they've become mad by tasting the prem which Mahaprabhu delivered to the world. So then he says, therefore, hate na vaikaya chal. There's no more need of rice in the marketplace. In other words, everybody's been fully satiated. In Bengal, rice is the staple dish. But he says there's no more even need of rice in the marketplace. Everyone has become fully satiated by tasting prem. Therefore, no one is doing business anymore. K.A. Nahi koal. Everybody's become mad, so there's no business going on, which means material business. You understand? People in Navadvip, when Advaita Acharya, before he called for the advent of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Navadvip was a very great center of learning, very wealthy place, but people were completely absorbed in material life. And therefore, Navadvip Dham had become very corrupted, so to speak. So that's when Advaitacharya decided that he had to force the advent of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But now he's telling him all that material business has been finished. So then he tells from one madman to another, give this message to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when Jagadananda Pandit returns, he speaks this message to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Swarup Damodar, and other devotees also hear it. So the other devotees, they cannot reconcile what kind of message is this? And even Swarup Damodar, he can get some feeling about it, but he asked Mahaprabhu directly, what is the meaning of this poem? So Mahaprabhu says, listen, Advaita Acharya is very mysterious. Only he really knows what the inner meaning of this is. But we can understand from his message that because he's the one who called me to come here, he is also the only one who can ask me to now go back. Then he told, just like when you do a yajna, like a fire sacrifice, the priest establishes a deity with a coconut. Have you ever seen a fire sacrifice? How they what's called a Shri pot. They'll put their copper pot there. They'll draw the auspicious sign of the swastika, everything, put a coconut there with mango leaves, etc. So they call the deity to reside over the yajna. After the yajna is finished, the priest recites prayers so that that deity can be dismissed from the coconut. You understand? So he says, in the same way, Advaita Acharya, he called for my advent. And in the same way, now that the mission is completed, he's giving me permission to go. You understand? After that time, in the Anchalila, chapter 19, it explains that from that day forward, Mahaprabhu entered into a mood exactly like the mood of Srimati Radharani when Krishna was taken on the chariot of Akrur from Vrindavan to Mathura. So from that day that he heard that poem of Advaita Acharya, he became completely absorbed in the mood that he came to taste. Prem Rasa Niyas, Karite Ashwadan. He became absorbed in the mood of Radhika as she was at Uddhav Kyari. Because when Akrura came and took Krishna to Mathura, all of the gopis now had already openly expressed their love for Krishna, so they did not return to their marital homes. They stayed at this place called Uddhav Kyari, and they associated together to console themselves. So now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became absorbed in that mood. Even though he had written the Sikshastakam previously, now for the next 12 years, he would spend all of his time absorbed in the deep mood of Radhika separation in what is called the Gambhir. The Gambhir is a small room in the house of the priest of Maharaj Prataparudra. His name was Kaisheshwara Pandit. He had a small house, and in that house, he had a small room. It's not a small house, but in that house, he had a small room, which was called the Gambhira. So in Sanskrit, Gambhira also means deep. So this is the place, this is the room where Mahaprabhu would spend the majority of the next 12 years absorbed in tasting the mood of Radhika. At this time, Mahaprabhu will pull out the Bhajan Padati that he wrote in the form of Sikshastakam, and he will now recite those verses to Roy Ramananda and to Swarup Damodar. So essentially, there's two dynamics going on. One is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the mood of a devotee, is reciting this to Swarup Damodar and Roy Ramananda, right? Second meaning is that this is the mood of Radhika, and Mahaprabhu, absorbed in the mood of Radhika, is reciting her catharsis of separation and the panacea for that separation being the holy name of Krishna to Lalita and Visakha Sakhi. Understand? So two dynamics are going on. So I just wanted to set that up before we started to talk about the actual verses, because if you don't understand this backdrop, then the verses can be looked at as a simple instructional manual or something. But actually, they're very deep moods of Radhika being expressed. And in that deep expression of her moods, any person who's aspiring to serve in that way can now gravitate or get that mood from these verses and develop the tendency of service towards the mood of Radhika. Not serving like Radhika, serving her mood of love. Understand? So that's what the Sikshastakam is meant to do. So in the very first verse, Mahaprabhu recites Chaito Darpanamajanam Bhava Maha Davagni Nivapanam. So the word Chaita means the chitta. So sometimes the word chitta and the mind, they're used interchangeably. So Chaita means the consciousness or the chitta. So he's saying chitta or Chaito Darpanam. Darpan means a mirror. So I think I explained one time that actually the Atma, it actually never really enters into the material world. The Atma stays situated in its own nature, but vicariously has the experience of the material world by looking through the chitta, almost like a one-way mirror. You understand? And it looks out onto the modes of nature and the material energy and has a vicarious experience. So here it's saying that Mahaprabhu was telling chitta or chaito darpana marjanam, bhava maha davagni nivapanam. So he's saying that the chitta, having been covered by the material energy in the form of the modes of nature, have created a situation, bhava maha davagni nivapanam, of great suffering. So bhava maha davagni means great suffering, burning in the fire of material existence. So nirvapanam means to extinguish. So it's saying simply by, because the last line, we'll talk about Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. I'm going to come to that, but that's the context. He's saying this name, Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtan, can extinguish that material suffering. That's the first benediction of the name. Chaito Darpanamajanam. It cleans the chitta and extinguishes the fire of material existence. Then, once that fire of material existence is extinguished, how does it happen? He says, Sreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam. Illumination, Vitaranam means to expand. So just like a lotus flower, just as a lotus, when the moon comes out, because there's moon blossoming lotuses and sun blossoming lotuses. So he's saying here, Chandrika means the moon blossoming lotus, just that Vitaranam, it gradually opens and reveals the beauty of that lotus in the same way, Sreya, our good fortune, the ultimate good fortune of any jiva is to get love of God. That's the ultimate good fortune of any jiva. So he's saying, Shreya, Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam, when the lotus of good fortune blossoms for the jiva, then Vidyavadu Jivanam, they experience the internal spiritual energy. The word Vidya here means the internal spiritual potency called Samvit Shakti. Samvit Shakti is the energy that makes us cognizant of Krishna and our own spiritual bodies and our spiritual identities. So let me repeat it. The spiritual energy called Samvit Shakti is the energy that reveals our own spiritual nature. It is also the energy that reveals Krishna and the dynamic of our spiritual relationship with him. That is called Samvit Shakti. So here this word Vidya means that Swarup Shakti, that Samvit Shakti, part of Swarup Shakti, descends onto the chitta, causing it to blossom and realize its own self and its relationship with Krishna. Upon realizing that, Vadu Jivanam, the word Vadu means a wife. So any relationship, home relationship, happiness is really generated by the wife. You understand? That's why one term that's used in Sanskrit language for the female potency is called Sri. Sri means that which expands happiness. You understand? So here it's saying that the very jivanam, the very life of transcendental knowledge, or the life of the cognition of Krishna, is the happiness that comes from that. That is called the Ladini Shakti. You understand? Ladini Shakti means, Haribo.
Can you see the message I sent you?
No, I didn't look. Let me see. Hold on. Yeah, I figured that because I know there's a bunch of devotees were trying to come on. So I think Boomy was texting me, but I didn't pick up the text. So what's happening? They're trying to get in.
I'll send the link
Yeah.
to Boomy.
Yeah, you can
Yeah, I'm
send it
not
to
seeing
Boomy.
anyone here trying to get in now, but there are some people on Zoom, I mean on YouTube, but if we could send a link to whoever.
Oh, there's a lot of people on the YouTube side of it.
Yes, there
Yeah,
are, yes.
there's people in
Oh, I see
YouTube
them.
right now, but a lot of people have been waiting to get in before
Mhm.
the class started, and they couldn't get in.
Well, I couldn't get in because of my internet, but the other people
Bo,
on
sorry, Bo.
Yeah, so they have been texting me like mad.
Oh,
There's a reason though. There's a reason why you can't get in. From Ananda Prabhu, I'm sorry, Harina.
yes, yeah, I know.
Pramananda.
Mhm.
You can on the site that you have for us to enter. That won't let you in. That'll keep you in waiting. What you have to do is the new post that you presented just recently, a day or so ago. They
Mhm.
have to click on that link. That way you'll
Oh,
be able to enter. Because that's the way I had to do it. I was
okay.
in
Okay.
waiting for so long. And then when I decided to just go back and look at the poster that you presented and clicked on that, that gave me entrance.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So
maybe that can
I'll
be done that way.
Okay.
I
I'll give
think
it a.
Mhm.
most people with the Zoom, most of the people that come on the Zoom all the time, we generally use the same passcode. And so
Uh,
that's what I did. So
mhm.
once you use that same passcode, you get an error message saying that there is another
Yes.
session going on at the same time. So what
and
I
I
did
think the
was
reason,
I came
yeah.
out of that session and
Mhm.
recognized that he had a new
Mhm.
passcode and a new ID. That was the problem.
Mm,
And so when I put in the new ID and the new passcode, I got right in.
Yes.
But other people, they said that when they tried the new passcode and the new ID, they still couldn't get in. So that
okay.
was, it just
All right. Do
was,
you want to try to see what can be worked out, Hari Namananda, and then we'll go on from
Yes.
there.
well, I'm going to send everybody. See, only people I
Oh, you know
sent the
what? Put it
link
in
was
the
the people
intensive.
that I know.
All right.
So
Put
if
it
Put
in
it
you
the
in
know
an
other
intensive.
intensive.
people, I'll send them the link.
All right. You
Hmm.
can put it in about the intensive as well, Parvati.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay. Thank you.
All righty.
Thank
That'll
you.
help them. And then you guys can just monitor, and they'll be able to get in.
Yes, I'm watching, hoping to see someone get on. So
Do
yes,
you want to hold
hopefully it
on a
works out.
couple of minutes or you want to
Okay.
just
Please,
All right.
resume?
I'll hold on.
Okay. Okay.
please,
Thank
please,
you.
please, please, because so much nectar, my head is about to explode. Hare Krishna. And I'm just looking at, wow, I wanted to stop and ask questions, but I didn't want to stop you from doing that. I didn't
Yeah,
want to stop.
I was gonna take a break after the first couple of verses because other than that was hard to get through.
But
So
it's
for
really
the
amazing.
devotees on YouTube, there's a link in the chat on YouTube. If you are trying to get into the Zoom, just check
Mhm.
that. And I also put the link on Facebook earlier, so hopefully it's working for
Mhm.
people. We had got on a different link, we had got some hackers last time, so we were
Oh, I see. Yeah.
bumped up to security a little bit.
All right. So yeah, she's gonna put it in the Bhakti Intensive site,
Okay.
and that may help some people to get in as well. Because I just spoke to Boomingham early, and I think he was texting me to try to get in.
Mhm.
But I'll give it a few minutes, Parvati.
Okay.
And in the meantime, is there any questions so far? What we've talked about? I tried to give a little bit of the backdrop in order to give some framework to how the Sikshastakam came about.
Guy, that was really wonderful. Very wonderful. That was very helpful. What else was very unique is you're explaining the chitta, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and how the Atma never really, enters the material world. And, just that right there just said, wow, I just can't even speak, it was so revealing. But,
Yeah, because the nature of the
go ahead.
Atma, the nature of the soul itself,
Mhm.
material than the material energy, so you can't mix them together. But what happens is that a vicarious can be made. So what happens is, just like I've given an example before, when you watch a movie on a screen, even though you're not in the place of the movie, so to speak, if you get really absorbed in the movie and you make emotional investment in the movie, you'll feel the emotional ups and downs of the plot, the characters, etc., because of the strong vicarious identification. So Jiva Goswami, he's written that the nature of the soul is such that it's eka rupa swarupa bhak. It means it stays situated in its own nature. It doesn't mean it's in the spiritual world. Don't confuse that. It just remains in its own nature, and the impressions of the modes of nature and the material energy are showing like a movie on the consciousness. It's called the chitta. And the atma, the soul's looking at that karmic movie, because each of us have our individual karma. So our role in the movies based on our own individual karma, and we identify with it and go through the emotional ups and downs of being related. Understand? So that's what's going on with that.
And another wonderful, wow, the mood that you shared so uniquely, so special, how the Lord wanted to experience this mood of Radha. And, you know, and then he said he had no desire, but no way of experiencing or how to, maybe the word repay is not.
Repay. No, that's the right word. Because the verse literally says, that verse, the verse literally says, Na paryeham nirvajya samyujam. So he's saying, I have no way to repay the kind of love that you have. So he's speaking to Radharani, that I have no way to repay this love. Because, ontologically speaking, Krishna is the object of love. Radhika is the repository of love. So, you know, even in this world, just to give a mundane example, two people can be in love with each other, quotes here, right? So if you're the object of your significant other's love, you can't have the actual experience that your significant other's having. You're the object of their experience. Now you have your own experience in relation to them. So they're the object of your experience. But you cannot taste their position. They can't taste your position. Does everybody understand that? Because you're not them, you're the object of their experience. So because Krishna is the object, in Sanskrit is called the Vishai, of the love of Radhika, then Krishna cannot taste what is Radhika's own direct experience. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's also written, Shri Radha Pranaya Mahima Kidraso Vanyeva. He has a desire to taste what is the Mahima, means the glory of her love. Swad Jaina Bhuta Madurimam Kitraso Madhya. When I express the beauty of my form, my flute playing, my pastimes, and my loving associates, how does Radhika taste that? I can't tell, because I'm the object of everything. I can't tell what she feels by that. Then Shokyam Chasya Madanubhavataha Kitrasam Veti Lobat. Therefore, I have a greed, lobe, to taste the happiness that she's experiencing. You understand? So this becomes the genesis of why Krishna becomes absorbed in the mood of Radhika by taking the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. At the same time, he wants to benedict all of the devotees from previous incarnations to come into that Leela and along with him taste the sweetness of serving that kind of mood. So therefore, all the devotees from previous incarnations, like Hanuman comes to Gaur Leela's Marari Gupta, Uddhava comes to Gaur Leela's Paramananda Puri, right? Even the other Brijabasis, like I mentioned, Vishaka, Lalita, they also come into Gaur Leela. The Goswamis, who are all Manjaris, they come into Gaur Leela and they all witness it. Then the Pandavas come into Gaur Leela as the sons of Bhavananda Roy. Understand? So Gaur Leela is like the Leela where everyone comes and has a chance to serve and to get the intense feeling of what it's like to love Krishna in the mood of the gopis in Braj. You understand? They get to have that experience through non-kirtan. That's why he wrote Sikshastakam. That's what we're explaining.
Haribo,
Through the
Haribo.
kirtan and the holy name, they'll get to taste that mood. That's the speciality of Gaur Lila. All right, Parvati, can I continue? I don't know if people are able to get in. She put it in the Florida Bhakti Intensive.
Prem wasn't able to get in.
Yes, and I removed the security on there, so people should be able to jump right in.
Yeah. Okay. All right, we don't want to use up so much airtime, so I'm going to go ahead and continue.
I'll tell Prem.
It's being recorded.
Do it again. Try
Okay,
it.
yeah, she could try again now with that other thing. And you can also tell them it's on YouTube. How do they get to it on YouTube?
Yes, they have to go to the Bhakti Moons on YouTube.
Just go to Bhakti Moon's YouTube. She can see it also.
Yes.
Yeah, they can do that also. Easy.
Mhm.
All right, so I will continue. So we left off Sreya Kairava Chandrika Vitararam Vijvadu Jivanam. So here I was explaining that Vijvadu Jivanam relates to the internal potency of Krishna. It's called Swarup Shakti. So the expansion of the good fortune, the ultimate good fortune of any jiva is that they'll get love of God. That fortune expands Vitaranam in the heart by the influence of Swarup Shakti, especially Sambit Shakti and Aladini Shakti. So then he says, when that good fortune arises, it first manifests in this world as the stage called Bhav. When the Swarup Shakti in the form of Samvit and Aladini, a ray of that comes into the chitta of the jiva, that is the stage that is called Bhav. It's described by Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasmrita Sindhu. Sudha Sattva Viseshatma Prema Suyangsa Samyabha Ruchi Bish Chittamasrinya Kiraso Bhavuchate. The stage of Bhav happens when a ray of the sun of Prem enters into the heart and causes the chitta to completely melt. So what this Masrinya means to melt, but what does this melting mean? The ruchi, or the taste for service that you have towards Krishna, dominates the consciousness and melts away the false ego and other material designations, etc., etc. And it gives rise to the pure feature of your spiritual identity. So in the stage of Bhav, it is called Swarup Siddhi, you're able to realize your actual spiritual identity. And you can understand what is your spiritual form. That spiritual form is composed of 11 elements, like name, form, age, dress, what group you belong to, what service you have, who gives you orders, what Saki gives you orders to do what, your particular Parakasta Seva, what do you like to do most in serving Krishna, your Sambandha, what is your relationship to all the other Brijavasis, and Nivasakaha means where do you live, in Varsana, Yavat, etc., Nandagan, like this. So these 11 things become manifest clearly in the stage of Bhav, and the jiva then realizes their actual spiritual identity. At that time, the jiva still has a sadak deha, means a body that they were doing sadhana in. This body cannot hold the full influence of prem. Therefore, only a small drop of prem enters into the chitta, and while the sadhaka still has this body, they realize their spiritual identity, but they go on practicing in this body, practicing all along, except the mood and the power that's inherent in Bhav allows them to enter into the Leela internally. You understand? So they go on, like you get up and you go to Mangalarti. But in the Mangalarti, when you hear the Sangsara Dava, Navalida Loka, etc., it becomes a stimulus for you to internally enter into the transcendental realm in your spiritual body, which you realize and have experiences. You understand? Rupa Goswami described this as Seva Sadika Rupena Siddha Rupena Chatri. That you have experiences in your external sadik body in your practice, and internally you have experiences in the divine realm. Upon giving up this body completely, right? At that time, you'll go to wherever Krishna is performing his pastimes within the material universes. That is called Krishna's Prakat Lila. At that time, this very same body that you realized in Bhav will take its own shape, and you won't have a external body anymore, a sadhaka body. That body is called your Siddha Deha. And now it is called Vastu Siddhi, because the same body that you realized in Bhav takes spiritual shape in the form of Sandhini Shakti. It means the spiritual energy itself becomes your body. You understand? That is called Vastu Siddhi. The word Vastu means substance, right? So now having a body that's completely composed of Sandhini Shakti, imbued with Samvit and Ladini, now you're serving Krishna wherever Krishna is performing his leelas within the material universes. That body can contain praying. So in the next line, he says, having now experienced the greatest good fortune, one now can obtain praying. And what happens in praying? Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. The Ananda or the Ladini Vritti, that Ladini Shakti, begins to expand. Vardhanam means to expand. So Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam, how does it expand? Pratipadam Amrita Ashwadanam. Prati means like individual or every step, right? Pratipadam, every step, every single step in the elevation of praying causes a deeper kind of tasting of nectar. Amrit means nectar. What kind of nectar? The nectar of praying, the nectar of love of God. Amrita Ashwadanam will be tasted at every step. So here the meaning is that after you obtain the stage called praying, remember in this body, you could only obtain up to the stage called Bhav. Now, once you have a spiritual body, which can contain the energy of praying, you can actually taste praying. But praying is not static, it evolves. So praying becomes sneha. I'm not going to describe each stage because that'd be a whole different class on Ujjwal and the Money, right? So I'm just describing the steps. So it becomes sneha, which means a deeper attraction. Then it becomes man, when the love takes on some crookedness due to intimacy. Pranay means when that intimacy is fully manifest. You understand? Man, pranay. Rag. Rag means, like in Ujjwal and Money is described, dukkamarikam chitte shukatena evarajayate. When even distress becomes happiness. You understand? Even something that should normally cause distress, because of its relation to Krishna, it actually permeates the consciousness with happiness. You understand? So that's called the stage of Rag. Anurag is very unique. Anurag follows that deep attachment that's called Rag, and that produces happiness even in circumstances which would normally produce misery. I'm giving an example of that. In Ujjwal and the Money, Rupa Goswami gave the example that during the midday, when Krishna takes the cows out for grazing, Radhika and the gopis, they also walk in Braj, they're barefooted. But in order to get a way to see Krishna, they walk on Govardhan Hill. On Govardhan, there's very sharp stones, and those stones have also been heated by the sun. So now when the gopis step onto those very sharp stones, it should naturally cause pain. But because they have the prospect of seeing Krishna when they step on the hill from that elevated position, their hearts become full of happiness and it overrides any distress. That is called Rag. Anurag follows the intensity of that kind of love, the kind of love that can produce happiness out of misery. Anurag is very unique because it's in Anurag that the gopis experience Krishna's love as being ever new. And they experience Krishna himself as being ever new. That's why Krishna is called Nava Yovan. Nava Yovan means ever fresh youth. Right? Anurag has been described, Saranubhuta Kuryoyan Nava Navam Priya. That every time they look at Krishna, he appears to be more beautiful. Krishna's not changing, but their love for him is increasing. And as the love increases, the vision they have of Krishna increases. You understand? So Krishna is already the most beautiful. Lavanya Saram, Asamurtvam, Ananda Siddhim. Krishna's body is perfect. It cannot become more beautiful. It is the very essence of beauty. Lavanya Sara means it's the essence of beauty. So how is it that they appear to be becoming more beautiful to the gopis? Because of their anurag. Their love is increasing. They're seeing Krishna as also more beautiful, more beautiful. Another feature of anurag is described, swa samveja dasha prapya prakasita yavanasraya vrittischet. So here it's saying anurag is swa samveja dasha. What that means is that we know there's a lover and a beloved. But what happens when the love that they express towards each other takes its own position and takes control of both of them? Let me give an example. I want you to be very careful here because there's no mundane equivalency to these things. This is the highest spiritual conceptions that we have. Sikshastakam is written by Mahaprabhu as the highest spiritual conception. So you can't make any mundane ideal. But I'm giving something to just show, to make it relatable. So if you have in our adult life any conjugal dealings, you know that in the beginning of those dealings, you just meet someone and you're going on a first date, for instance, that there's a lot of etiquette that's observed. For instance, you will not make jokes that are inappropriate. For instance, when you become very familiar with somebody, you can tease them in such a way and it's digested as part of your love for them. Like you can say to the wife, oh, yeah, that thing that you cooked last night, yeah, it was great. Yeah, whatever, right? And you can joke like that. It made really good. So you're making jokes, right? Or if you're going like out with your significant other and you've been together for some time, you could make jokes. Oh, this is a bad hair day. On your very first date, you could never say anything like that. You understand? Because there's so many boundaries and etiquette and so many things to be observed. But my point is, as you become closer, the nature of the boundaries under which you can express love broaden. So you can say things and they'll still be digested as joking words in love. You understand? So in the same way, when Radha and Krishna, by the nature of the intimacy, their pranay, rag, etc. is grown, anurag comes to a stage where love itself now becomes their controller. So love normally will remove shyness, for instance. For instance, back to the mundane example, even when there want to be expressions of intimacy from man to woman or whatever the case is, there may be so much shyness around that on behalf of both parties. But when the passions rise to a certain level, the passions take over and both people surrender to the passions. So everybody's adults here. Hopefully, I don't have any kids on the line, right? So both people surrender to the passions, and this is how intimacy takes place in adult life. In the spiritual paradigm, in the spiritual dynamic, Radha and Krishna, in the stage of anurag, the love itself becomes the controlling dynamic. So love takes Radha and Krishna and controls them almost like puppets and brings them together and creates different kinds of pastimes, etc., etc. So this is called anurag. This anurag then produces a happiness which is greater than any happiness they've experienced previously. That happiness is called mahabhav. So we've heard this word mahabhav before. Mahabhav is created from anurag. Radha and Krishna, when they are completely surrendered to love itself, love creates what is called mahabhav. This mahabhav is in two divisions. One is called rud and one is called adirud. So rud means when the love has certain characteristics, like they cannot stand to be apart even for a minute. Nimeshita shatta. They can't even, nimesh means like a blinking of an eye. They cannot stand to be apart. Asanata janatarit valodanam. The love that's in their heart spills out and touches others. So these are, I'm not going to the whole thing because it's a whole different kind of class. But these are some of the symptoms of Ruda Bhav. In Adi Rud Bhav, the love creates madness. So therefore, Radhika speaks to a bumblebee. Like in the 47th chapter, Srimad Bhagavatam, is called Brahmar Geet. Radhika gives expression of different kinds of moods she's going through. It is called Chitra Jalpa, is a technical name for it. And she expresses all these to a bumblebee. That bumblebee is actually Krishna himself. But This way, she's speaking in mad talks. You understand? This happens in Adi Rud. So, in other words, I'm making the point here that the verse, Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam, the love expands itself and goes through these stages. Prati Padam Puna Amrita Swadanam, and is tasted. You understand? So, the Mahaprabhu says, Sarvatma Snapanam. Therefore, the devotee by Harinam, Snapanam means like to bathe or to become immersed. Sarva Atma, they can become completely immersed in these moods that are being described above. How? Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. So the word param here means supreme. Supreme, what is greater than Radha and Krishna? What is greater even than Radha and Krishna? Anybody want to make an attempt to answer?
And their love?
Yes. Even greater than Radha and Krishna themselves is the love. You understand? So it's saying, Sarva Atma Param. That love, that superior love, Vijayate. So in Sanskrit, the word Jai means victory or conquest. But it has the prefix here, V. So V means Visesh or special. So when one obtains the special mood of love that they have towards Radha and Krishna, then Vijayate, that particular mood completely conquers them, and therefore they do Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. You understand? They become immersed in that form of love which completely conquers them. And when that happens, then Sri Krishna, Sri here means Radha, Krishna means Krishna, Sankirtanam. They glorify Radha and Krishna through Harinam. You understand? The word Sankirtanan here means Savot Bhavena Kirtan. It doesn't mean just singing various melodies accompanied by Mridanga. Savot Bhavena Kirtan. So Sarva Bhav means with these moods that we described earlier. When Kirtan is done with these moods, it is called Sankirtanam. You understand? The word Kirti means to glorify. So when the devotee becomes completely absorbed in these moods and bathes in the particular kind of praying they have, then naturally they want to glorify Sri Radha and Krishna. That is called Sankirtan. Understand? So before going any further, is there any questions about the meaning of the first verse? This is the bhajan instruction in the verse. I'm not speaking yet about Radhika's mood in the verse. I'm speaking about the application for us in the verse.
Very deep. So I know that you meant that the devotee glorifies through the Sankirtan, but does Radha Krishna's combined love also glorify them?
It's the love. This is the meaning of Savatma Snapanam Param. Param here means that superior thing, even to Radha and Krishna, is their praying. That praying takes a special mood in the heart of any devotee. In Sakya Rasa, Vatsali Rasa, Manjari Bhav, that mood then conquers the heart of the devotee and causes them to naturally glorify the object of their worship, Radha and Krishna, with that kind of love. That is called Sankirtan. Sankirtan is not music. Sankirtan is that mood being expressed. Then to express it, it naturally comes out as melodic. You understand? So Mahaprabhu then manifested that mood in the courtyard of Srivas, accompanied by the mridanga and the kartals. The mridanga and the kartals in Gaur Leela are an incarnation of Krishna's flute. You understand? So Krishna's flute incarnates in this world as the mridanga and kartals, and in the courtyard of Srivas, the kirtan becomes the Ras Leela in the form of Ordorja, means in magnificence or mercy, so that you don't have to have a gopi form to attend the Ras Leela. In Gaur Leela, the speciality is that those who are in Sakya Rasa, those who are in other rasas, and those who have Swarup or identities in other Leelas, like Murari Gupta is Hanuman. You understand? And the four Kumaras are called the Nidhi brothers. You understand? They all came and they were participating. Srivas is also one incarnation of Narada Muni. You understand? Also Madhumango, but also Narada Muni. So all of these different associates came, and they were in the courtyard of Srivas, and they were absorbed in the kirtan, which gave the intensity of the experience that is in the Ras Leela in Vrindavan. And all of that is being experienced through the Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Understand?
Yeah.
So Mahaprabhu has written this book to show that it is Nam that produces this elevation of consciousness all the way up to the level of praying. Because in the very first line, Cheto Darpana Manjanam, all of the steps from Shraddha all the way up to Bhava being discussed. Because he's saying Cheto Darpana Manjanam. By the cleaning of the Chitta, you go through the stages Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anatana Vritti Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti. Then he says, Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam. Then the white lotus of good fortune will descend, which is Bhav. And I explained that to mean Vijavadu Jivanam. Means the descent of Swarup Shakti causing Bhav. So everything, even in the first verse of Sikshastakam, is present. But you just have to understand it. If you understand it, then it makes sense that Mahaprabhu only had to write 8 verses and he could express the entire theology of bhakti. You understand? So unfortunately, it's the only unfortunate thing about the devotees not being on is that I cannot hear if they have questions or not. Okay. All right. Any questions, Parvati, Ishopanishad? Anything before we go on? Because the explanations are a little deep, and because I'm sure a lot of devotees want to be on, and there's devotees on YouTube, we started at 10 and it's now 11. So maybe what we'll do is we'll just stay here, and then we should go on with a series like this. And perhaps next week we'll work it out with all of the dynamics that we need to work it out for the Zoom, and we'll come back and do the other verses for devotees if they want to ask questions, so if they don't miss that part. And we'll just stay here for now, and maybe I'll reiterate or just review the backdrop next week for devotees, and then we can move from there. But are there any questions that you guys have that are here, and the devotees on YouTube can hear that?
Yeah, so far no one in YouTube has entered the chat. I put a few questions out there, so
you could read them off for me.
No, I said I put questions to let them know if they wanted to, but no one replied to anything.
Okay.
But yeah, I hopefully we could take these things and put them into like a course written, transcribed, written out. The devotees can also study. So yeah, I would love to continue.
Yeah, so maybe we'll make a series out of it, and by doing a series, then we can go over it in devotees. I can give details then, and I won't be shy to give details. If I have to go through the whole thing, then all the details, like all of the different stages of praying, are very interesting. Like, what is sneha? Sneha is described in Ujjali Mani. What is this thing? Parakashta. What is it? Pranaya Shasya. No, not Pranaya. Sneha. I'm trying to think of this verse here. Chit Deepa Deepana. It's explained that in Sneha, deep means like a light, like a giwit, like when we offer Damodarastakam, right? So it's saying Aruya, Paramakasta, Chit Deepa Deepana. This is the verse. So Aruya Paramakasta, when praying becomes elevated, the stage of praying, it becomes elevated. Aruya Paramakasta, it achieves a higher state. In that state, Chit Deepa Deepana, Dravyam Riddayam. So Chit Deepa Deepana means the consciousness was already illumined by praying. You understand? So deep means illumination. But Chit Deepa Deepana, when another light is added to that light, it expands the illumination in the chitta. When the illumination in the chitta is further expanded, Hridoya dravyatam. The word dravya means to liquefy or to melt. Therefore, the chitta further melts and liquefies. The word dravya here also indicates rasa. It means by the influence of ras, right? And rasa means the particular combination of spiritual ingredients related to your particular relationship with Krishna. Let me explain ras right quick, since we have some time. A rasa is a combination of different elements. The first element is called a sthai bhav. A sthai bhav is sthai means permanent. So everyone has a permanent fixed mood towards Krishna in a particular rasa, like Sakya rasa, Vatsalya rasa, Madhurya rasa. You understand? Because in Vrindavan, these are the three primary rasas. Dasya rasa and Santa rasa don't really exist in function in Vrindavan. Just as a philosophical ontology, you can say that the five rasas exist there. But for instance, when you speak according to ontology, the trees in Vrindavan would be in Santa rasa. But factually speaking, the trees in Vrindavan are not in Santa rasa. The trees consider themselves to be friends or like protectors of Krishna. You understand? That's their actual feeling. You understand? So they're more like friends, or more like what they call Surit Sakas, more like protective friends of Krishna. They're not like just inanimate objects in Santa rasa. You understand? Similarly, in Dasya rasa, it is also not prominent in Vrindavan. They are servants of, in the house of Nanda Maharaj, Krishna's father, named Pattak and Ratrak. So Rattak and Patrak, they serve Krishna, they help to bring different things for him and all of that. But Krishna is only a small boy. So Krishna can't even afford to pay them or anything. So they're being taken care of by Nanda Baba. So technically speaking, in function, they're like friends to Krishna. They're not servants. Like Garuda is a servant to Lord Narayan. But these two servants, Rattak Patrak, they're servants in the house of Nanda Maharaj. But they're like friends to Krishna. So Sakya Rasa, fraternity, parental affection, like Mother Yashoda Maharaj, Nanda, and all the elderly gopis and gopis, and Madhurya Rasa, like the gopis and the manjais, that is the different moods of service that are prominent in Vrindavan. So first you have to have a sthai bhav, a permanent mood in one of those rasas. Secondly, in the ras, there's two divisions: the object of the love and the repository of the love. It's called Ashraya and Vishaya. Ashraya means the repository, and Vishaya means the object. So I went over that a little bit earlier, right? And then there's Udipan. The word Udipan means things that stimulate the love. I'm giving an example. So I'm saying from the point of view of a wife, her husband is the object of her love. So her permanent sentiment, if you were making a material comparison, is her sthai bhav is towards her husband, right? This is only an example because material world, these things don't exist. So the wife, her sthai bhav towards her husband is in conjugal love. And Udipan, or stimulus for that love, may be the anniversary, first time that they met, the first song they ever heard together. These things are called Udipan. Similarly, in relation to Radha Krishna or any Brijabasis, Mother Yashoda Maharaj Nanda, the cowherd boys, there are different Udipans that stimulate their love for Krishna. Like for the gopis, if they see the footprint of Krishna in the dust of Vrindavan, it is Udipan for them. The cowherd boys as well, Mother Yashoda as well. But there are some Udipans or stimuluses that are particular to each particular rasa. Like, for instance, playing with Krishna and taking lunch. Checking each other's bags for who got what kind of lunch from home is a particular Udipan in Sakya Rasa. You understand? It's a particular nuance. They like to do this thing. It's particular, like who got what for lunch. You understand? Similarly, an Udipan in Vatsalya Rasa is watching Krishna do something as he's growing up. Like once, Mother Yashoda, she saw Krishna in her storage area, and there was a crystal pillar there. And Krishna was looking in the pillar, and he saw his own reflection. So Krishna was being naughty, and he was stealing some butter from the pot. He looked around, and he saw his own reflection. He thought it was another person. So then he said, oh, don't worry. I won't tell anybody if you don't tell anybody. And he said, listen, we can be friends. We look alike. So then Krishna took some of the butter and he said, here, my friend, you could have some of the butter. But of course, when you're looking at a reflection, whatever you do is reflected back to you. So then the reflection also was offering butter to Krishna. So then Krishna said, oh, you want to give me butter first. So then Krishna took his other hand to try to get the butter, but then the other hand of the reflection comes out naturally and looks like it's blocking him. So then Krishna starts arguing with the reflection. Do you want to give me butter? You want me to give you butter? So Mother Yashoda, she sneaks in and she sees this. And this is Udipan in Vatsalya Prem. The young activities of Krishna at his young age like this. You understand? Or Nanda Baba may ask Krishna, oh, you should go and you should bring my slippers. So Krishna will go, but because he's such a tiny baby, he can hardly lift the slippers. So he picks the slippers up and he has such a hard time putting them on his head. And then he's toddling back and forth because the weight of the slippers is too much for him. So seeing this, Nanda Baba's heart melts, right? And hearing the broken language of Krishna. Similarly, there are particular Udipans related to Vatsalya Ras, especially Krishna's flute playing. It is for everyone, but especially for gopis, Krishna plays certain melodies that are Udipan for those gopis. So this is called Udipan. So Alamban means Vishaya and Ashraya. Udipan means those things that stimulate love. When love is stimulated, it causes a reaction. They're called Anubhavs. Some of the Anubhavs are natural things, and some of them are things that are done by the application of intelligence. I'll give you an example. If somebody calls you and gives you the message, hey, you just got a promotion at your job. You understand? Then you, oh, wow, very good, thank you. You're going to get a great raise, etc., etc. So you become happy. Your physiological state changes, but it's still under the control of your intelligence. So your body maintains its stasis. It doesn't faint or anything like that, but you express happiness. But if you get a call and your wife or your significant other, your child has gone to school or something, and you get a call, hi, this is the sheriff's office or the police department. There's been an accident. Immediately your heart starts beating very fast. When they name the name of your loved one, you maybe can't take it anymore and you faint. So this is called Satvik Vikar. Satvik Vikar means something that's beyond the control of your mind. Your body simply reacts to the emotion and it causes fainting. There are 8 symptoms like this in spiritual transformation. Hair standing on end, bodily color changing, voice choking, tears from the eye, hair standing on end, did I mention that? Change of bodily color. Anyways, there's 8 things like this. They're called Asta Satvik Vikar. So these are called Anubhav. So you have Staibhav, Vibhav, which is the Ashraya and Vishaya and Udipan. Then you have Anubhavs, which are broken into 2 divisions, those caused by the application of intelligence and those which happen naturally that you can't control. Then there are 33 transitory emotions. You understand? It's like sometime a particular event happens and you become overwhelmed. Just like all the devotees, you walk in and it's your birthday and they all want to glorify you on your birthday. So naturally in your heart, some humility arises. Because when you start hearing your own glorification, you become a little ashamed, everything like that. So like this, there's 33 kinds of transitory moods that come along. They're called Sanchari Bhav or Vyavichari Bhavs. So when you put all of these things together, that's what creates rasa. You understand? Those combination of things meeting together in the right proportion creates rasa. My Gurudev used to describe it. If you take cold water, that would be like a stai bhav. But then you mix in a little bit of lemon and a sweetener, and then you add raspberries or blueberries or something. What was normally the thirst quenching thing called water now has become raspberry lemonade. So that's what rasa is like. It's the combination of these things together on the essential reality of your love for Krishna, and it creates an extraordinary taste that is called rasa. That's what the meaning of the word rasa is. Understand? So again, I'm sort of just speaking about some things, and hopefully those things will also be helpful, because it's difficult to progress in bhakti if we don't try to understand these things. We may not be able to retain every single thing every single time, But that's why we hear it over and over and over, because this allows our consciousness to grow and be illuminated. If you continuously hear, you're not the body, the material world is full of suffering, and the whole goal of life is to get out of this material world, go back to Godhead where you can enjoy, your bhakti will turn into salvationism. You understand? It'll turn into liberation theology. You understand? If you don't hear what is love and how to understand it and practice it, or relate it to your practice, the desire to love Krishna will never truly grow. So we will go on practicing, but in the back of our minds, we're thinking, the reason I'm practicing is to get free from suffering in the world, so I could go back to Krishna's planet and enjoy forever. So it becomes a sort of expanded version of Judeo-Christian theology, or it becomes the Vedic philosophy of salvationism or liberationism. You understand? So it's important to hear these things, even if we don't digest it right away, because these things is what our Goswamis have taught to help us understand what it means to love Krishna. Then when you practice and understand, that's what creates advancement in bhakti. Other than that, bhakti becomes kind of stagnant, and we end up creating like a synthesis between our material life and our salvationist mentality. I'm just biding time until I leave this world and get free from suffering by the method of Krishna consciousness. But it doesn't turn into love of God. Understand? All right, I think we'll call it there. Unless there's any last questions or something, I think we'll call it there. And next week, we could pick up and do you want to use the other Zoom thing because it's known to everybody?
Yes, I'll so I have it set up on the calendar for Thursday, so I'll just have to try to figure out how to adjust it to Saturday, and then it should be fine. The link for everyone.
Okay. Today is also, of course, Govardhan Puja, so I did not
Yes.
speak about it because we spoke about it yesterday, and I will also speak about it somewhat on our Zoom tomorrow. So, and because we had already the topic for today's Sikshastakam, then I felt no harm to speak about Sikshastakam. So maybe on Saturdays, for a couple of Saturdays or something, we can do Sikshastakam as a series. Is that possible?
Yes, that's my desire. Yes.
Okay. So maybe we'll do that, and maybe the regular Zoom that we use on Sundays, because everybody already has it and is familiar with it. Or we can try to work this out where people can use the Bhakti Moon Zoom, and we just make it viable so people can easily access it and everything. So I'll let you and Parvati work that out. I'm only a humble servant here and not very technologically savvy, so to speak. And Prabhu, I always want to thank you so much for the assistance that you've done for helping myself and Parvati with putting everything together, and all the devotees as well. But, Parvati has tried to help put all these things together and done an amazing job putting the site. And so what you contributed, it really has brought everything out. So I'm very thankful, Prabhu.
Thank you so much for allowing me to do some service.
No. And you're you're giving me mercy by then allowing me to do some service by serving Hari Katha of our Guru Vargas. All right, so next Saturday we will work it out, Parvati, between yourself and Hari Damana. Zoom we'll use, and we'll post it, and that will make it available. Because I also think what may have happened, because I posted on my Facebook page, a lot of those devotees also probably were trying to get in. So we'll make it next week, so we'll make it very easy. Maybe we'll use the other regular Zoom.
Yes.
So that'll be easy.
Right.
All right, my Dandavat Pranam, all devotees. So if need be,
you.
I'll try to repeat some of these things next week. So if anybody didn't get it, they'll have a chance.
Okay.
All right,
Hari
Haribol, Jai, Radhe Radhe, Vanchika Paturischa, Kripa Sanavischa, Patitana Pavnevu, Jai, Shri Giriraj Govardhan Ki Jai.